Hey y'all, I'm sorry for the bad camera quality. I'm on like the old T-Mobile phone, but I know I'm spewing out so many videos right now. But I just wanted to do a video and just share this one little, I guess, additional nugget to the Jezebel spirit. I probably mentioned it in like older videos before. And right now I'm actually just writing down a whole bunch of dreams I've had that I've never got a chance to write down from like last year, maybe 2 years ago. And it is dealing with the Jezebel spirit, and I just kind of wanted to share some other traits that y'all could probably recognize the spirit by, just for informational purposes, really. Nothing y'all probably don't already know. One of the dreams that I just finished writing down was very short. I think I had it in maybe late 2017, last year. And there is a particular relative that the Lord always uses to represent this spirit, and she is always up in my dreams 24/7. She is the image that Jezebel predominantly comes in as a familiar spirit to make me more comfortable. And I actually just recently discovered that I think there is some type of binding with me and this relative's soul fragment, some covenant between both me and her that may have occurred years ago, that is enabling this spirit to not only keep us connected, but to keep coming in her image. Because I didn't think about it before. I thought, and shared with y'all in various videos, that I thought that when the Lord would just use certain people, familiar people or like familiar friends and stuff like that, to as a symbol to represent that spirit, that it's obviously indicating that these people do have that spirit operating in their life, or they may be tolerating or in full agreement with that spirit. And or it could just be a type and a symbol of this spirit coming in the likeness of somebody that you used to be close to get you to be more inviting of the spirit, because the spirit's not going to disclose its true identity to you in the dream. All of those things are still true. There's many different templates to stuff like that, but I just had it revealed to me by the Lord that there's a reason why she is being used specifically. So there's another template that was added to that, of why certain people can be shown, and it's because you could still have some type of tie or soul tie. And I want to remind y'all that soul ties are a splitting of your soul and being binded together by a spirit with the other individual. So I know that's really deep, but that's really what a soul tie is. And whether a spirit spouse or another entity is involved or not, there still is a fair chance that either way it goes, there is still some part of you that is intertwined or binded to the altar, or another fragment of this person. And that could be, if y'all are dreaming about somebody repetitively being used as a symbol consistently, whether the dream is from the Lord. I've had Jezebel come to me as this person in dreams from dreams from the enemy, and I've had the Lord dreams from him where he uses the person as a symbol to represent Jezebel. So it's from both ends. So there's definitely something in the spirit dealing with her. So maybe if y'all are having a consistent or a similar pattern with certain people that God is using to represent a certain spirit, or this person just keeps popping up in your dream when the Lord is revealing things to you about you and your walk and your soulish condition, there is something to that. I never thought to seek the Lord about why she was being used. I just automatically thought that it was due to her character. What I know about her personally, she is a Jezebel in real life. So I just thought, well, she's obviously a symbol. And she's somebody that Jezebel has used in the past in my life to live out her covenant with me through that person. So I thought it just stopped at that. And the Lord, I never thought to think any further of what it could mean for her to be used. And now that the Lord brought to my attention, because there was one dream, what really did it was, there was a dream where the Lord was revealing to me about a soul tie that I had with a man, and she was in the dream. The things that God was revealing to me about that soul tie and that situation had absolutely no grounds for her to be anywhere in the dreams. And she was there as like a witness or a voice of, I don't even want to say a voice of reason. She was more like a commentator on the soul tie with the guy. The Lord just put her in like one little scene, but she was there with me. And when I had the dream and I wrote it down, I did think it was weird, like, why is she there? But I didn't really, it didn't go any further than that. until recently, like I said, the Lord started pointing out some little patterns to me, like she's in all these dreams, like that means something. She's there for a reason. It's not just Jezebel. It's not just representing the spirit, because in that dream, she wasn't Jezebel. She was just herself. So you got to ask yourself, why does she specifically keep coming up in your dreams? Like, why is she there? She plays some role in some attachment to you spiritually that you probably don't know about. And the Lord is trying to reveal that to you through your dreams. Like, y'all are bonded together somehow, because why would she be in a dream with you? Somebody you don't even talk to, she's in the world. Like, I don't have any affiliation with this relative. And yet she's in your dream with you, dealing with a whole nother situation in regards to a soul tie that Jezebel is, orchestrator of. So I'm on that little quest right now, y'all. Like, I'm fasting and just, it's so much stuff the Lord is bringing up, but it's like, it's good that he's revealing it, but it's just like digging and getting to the root of all this stuff and what this means, and then trying to uproot it. It's just like, but anyway, this stream was very short. It was like last year, and it started off in my bedroom, and I don't do too many dream videos like I used to. I just haven't like really been feeling led to teach all, because like I can try to teach y'all verbally, but I feel like it's different when you experience those types of things for yourselves, and y'all probably have been, but you don't know what they mean. Because y'all know how I talk about how there's some dreams where it's a dream in the sense that you experienced it while you were asleep, but not all dreams feel like other dreams. Some dreams are so crisp and vivid to the point where it feels like you went to this whole other world and this whole other dimension in reality, and you don't even watch anything close to what you were seeing. So there's dreams like that. That's your spirit or a part of your soul. You're obviously, if not astral projecting, some part of you is traveling somewhere because you have some covenant in place with some spirit that you don't know about, and you're going to like the marine kingdom. There's always bodies of water there around a lot of people. So it could be that. I've had dreams where it literally just felt like my spirit was just engaging. My room looked the same. Everything still looks the same, but everything's a lot more heightened and sensitive. So there's many different kinds of dreams. Okay. So, don't think that when someone says, oh, I dreamt this, that it was just like a night dream. Like, God speaks in so many different ways. There's so many different levels to dreams and dream interpretation. Like, most of this stuff is not just spiritual symbolism paralleling the spiritual realm and the natural realm. A lot of it is you actually experiencing these things in a different dimension, but it has to be done via dream, because that's when your body is resting, so your spirit can begin to be active in the spirit realm. That's most of those things. That's what that is. So this was one of those. It was not a dream per se. It felt like more so of a revelation of some things already taking place in the spirit, some dimension. My bedroom looked the same. Everything was still the same. And I don't remember like what my spiritual state was at the time I had this dream. That probably plays into the things that I saw. Maybe I was coming under oppression around that time last year for me to have a dream like this. But I was in my bedroom and she was there. And she was actually there with one of her... I'm not going to say who the individual was, because I have family watching this channel and they're going to figure out who I'm talking about. There was somebody that she's related to as well that was with me. And I remember I found that very odd that the other girl was there, because I'm like, I never dream about her. I was like, why is she here with her? But one thing I've noticed in my dreams when she's in them, which I think confirms that God is trying to show me that there's something deeper there, some type of tie between me and her personally in the spirit that I don't know about. Because why would Jezebel consistently feel comfortable using this one person to come to you in a disguise, and you're always accepting of her? That doesn't make any sense. So you're a whole Christian, you're a whole prophetess. God has given you like 20 different dreams exposing this girl and how this spirit is using her, or basically to avoid her, because Jezebel is fully active, blatantly active in her life. But yet she's the main cloak that Jezebel always comes to you through. And knowing all of this information, you're always accepting of her every single time. Sometimes to the point where I don't even question why she's there. That screams that there's definitely something deeper on another layer in the spirit, some part of you that is yoked to that person, that's still accepting of, there's still some type of tie there. There's still some part of you that's in agreement. When I say in agreement, because you'll hear like people when they're teaching messages, they'll say stuff like that in their videos. I don't want you to think that in agreement means that you're willingly participating in what's being shown to you. Sometimes in agreement, when somebody says some part of you is in agreement, it literally could mean some part, some fragmented part of you that's very subconscious, that you probably don't have any control over when these things are happening, is still yoked to this. So in agreement doesn't mean that you're willingly participating or that you want to do these things. Agreement can just mean covenant as well. Agreement can just mean I just so happen to still be yoked to this. Some part of me is yoked. Agreement. So yeah, that definitely screams there's some part of you, your soul, that is tied to her, yoked to her, because Jezebel wouldn't be able to keep using her disguise to come to you. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if Jezebel coming in her image isn't even always Jezebel herself. There could very well be some fragmented part of her that Jezebel is wearing. Like I shared the recent dream with y'all, how I saw Jezebel wearing different coats of me in the spirit realm. The Lord was showing me in some weird galactic realm, she had like different spiritual suits of me, personality wise, that she was wearing, and she would use it to go to this guy that I have a soul or had a soul tie with. She would use it to go to him, and it felt like both me and her were integrated into one another, and it wasn't completely me. So I wouldn't even be surprised if the reason why she keeps coming as his relative is because that actually is a part of that relative coming to you. She may not be even conscious of that in the real world. I wouldn't be surprised if she has dreams like that too, to be honest, which I don't talk to her. So even if I try to discuss something like that with her, she's not spiritual. So she would just be like, she probably wouldn't even think anything of it. But, or understand it. So yeah, I think Jezebel coming as this relative all the time, it has to be both her and some fragment of that relative, which would make sense of why you're always accepting of her to the point where you don't even really question why she's there with you in every dream. It's almost like a sense of comfortability that doesn't make sense in the natural, because in the natural, I'm fully aware of who she is and I have control over that if I wanted to have control. In the spirit, you don't, because in the spirit, there's a part of you that y'all are still yoked and bonded together. So she was there, and with the person she's related to, which I think honestly was just those two witchcraft spirits, because there was no other reason for the other girl to be there. I know them both personally. They both are Jezebels. And once again, I was comfortable with her being there because I saw her as just my cousin. The familiarity wise, I didn't really question why she was there. When I experience these things in the spirit, it feels so familiar that, which is how you know that these things have been a consistent state, soulish wise, in the spirit for so long. That is a part of you that is very dormant, that God has to activate and really show you when you dream. He has to put you to sleep just to show you the parts of your soul or different things that are happening in the spirit realm that you don't really think about or that you're not conscious of in your awake life. So I didn't question why she was there. I always feel comfortable every single time. And there was a point where I was sitting on my bedroom floor next to my bed, and they were as well, but I felt subjected to them in a sense that I really cannot explain. It was very similar to how I have felt with them in real life. I would just say they're like really fake, mean, bougie girls, mean girls, and I would always feel like an outcast with them. It felt like that in the dream, so there was still that same vibe there with them. But there was this weird impression of me being subjected to the both of them that I really didn't understand. I didn't like it either, but there was really nothing I could do about it. And while I was sitting on the floor in that dream, the Lord, I personally call them double layered dreams. Like when you're dreaming, not necessarily dreaming within a dream, that's a different thing. I'm talking about when you're dreaming and the Lord gives you another additional layer and allows you to see like a vision in the dream. So those multi-dimensional type of things. He opened something up, and I didn't understand what I was seeing. It looked like some type of room in a warehouse I have the terminology for it now after I've thought about the dream, giving it some time to think about it. It looked like a slaughterhouse. Uh, I just saw a lot of blood stains, and those thick plastic curtains that like I guess like a car wash would have, if like when you drive your car through like a car wash, or I don't even know if car washes have that. I just know I've seen it before, but I just saw those kind of hanging around like ribbons, and I saw like this blood stains just everywhere, but to the point where it was brown. Like it looked like this place had been there for like generations. It looked very outdated. And at first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. The first thing that came to my mind was like, that must represent my mindset and how that spirit keeps me in this mental, psychological bondage of just like, not just regression and always backwardness, but just constant torment. Like it looks like your mind is being ripped to shreds, which that's how I would often feel being under oppression from this spirit 24/7. So at the time when I had the dream, that's the first thing I thought about. Like, that's my mind. That has to represent, like, because she's been here for so long, this is what she's been doing to you, basically tormenting you, constant oppression, um, keeping you in bondage to the past, psychologically, to different people, traumatic events that happen to you. And she amplifies it in such a way mentally to where you stay in this mental prison, but nobody else outside of you really understands what you're going through unless God somehow shows those individuals. Otherwise, people just gonna be looking at you like you're crazy. So I completely relate to y'all who are dealing with the Jezebel spirit. I completely understand, because I know what she does to the mind. She's a mental spirit. She deals with a mental illness, um, torment, oppression, any like shredding of the mind. That is Jezebel's domain. She has other spirits that assist her with that. I'm gonna get to that in a few minutes, but it's mostly her. So when I saw it, for one, it disturbed me because just the essence I got from looking at it, it just looked like I was looking at something that had been there for a long time. Like it looked completely outdated. Um, I didn't know what to make of it. I just saw blood stains. It just looked like something that would have possibly represented my mind, or a wineskin that she keeps you in, and it's you just been so tormented. It looked like it was also almost like a representation of the ruins that would be left of someone's mind, due to dealing with a spirit like that. And but after I woke up from the dream and I was thinking about it, over some months, I said, and especially talking to Kelly, because he deals with deliverance ministry in that aspect, I brought that dream up to him. And when I said slaughterhouse, he just looked at me. I don't know if y'all have watched a lot of Kelly's deliverance videos, but I think there's been a few witches that have brought up seeing human slaughterhouses in their dreams. And I think me and him had a small, light conversation about that. And I think he alluded to, he thinks that witches have probably been using some part of me in doing that to that fragment part of me. Maybe she's in a human slaughterhouse somewhere in the spirit. And I wouldn't doubt that, because the way that I feel, I've shared with y'all, when I get attacked by people, or when I get attacked by spirits through people, it is the most excruciating. Like I always say, it feels like I'm being stabbed and just like ripped to shreds, like from the inside out. And in some cases, I don't feel like that now. I don't deal with any of that for now. I don't know if it may come again. Um, but I would just always describe it to feel like it would just be a consistent feeling, like nothing could be going on. I could not be having any engagement or any attack up against me. And I feel that all the time. And so like something is just ripping and just slicing and just literally murdering your spirit. So when I kind of got that revelation that could have possibly been a slaughterhouse that I was seeing, that the Lord was showing me, I was like, well, that's definitely doesn't really shock me. I mean, that it actually makes sense, because when you start seeing stuff like that, you want answers to what these symbols mean. Like, why am I seeing that, and why does it relate to this spirit that I'm dealing with? So it makes sense. And after I saw the slaughterhouse room, I saw another really eerie, creepy thing, and it looked like it was basically me. I was sitting in a throne, it was a chair, but it looked like an armchair, like a single sofa armchair, but it was like a throne and it was concrete. And it had all these weird occultic Enochian like symbols and designs on it. You could tell that it looked like some type of seat that came from some part of some demonic kingdom I had never seen before, but I was sitting in it. And there Jezebel was, she was sitting like standing right next to me. And the eeriness was just more so associated with what I felt about the seat and just the look of it. It wasn't anything like creatively alarming about it. It was just looking at these things the Lord was showing me. You could feel like it felt ancient. I really can't explain it. It just felt like something that had been there for generations, like centuries, and it looked old, like a fastened covenant. It was that's the impression I was getting. And I was sitting in the chair, and I was also getting impressions of gothic. It was related to some type of covenant I made when I got into that stuff years ago. I felt that. I'm not sure if that could have been the open door. I mean, it very well could have been. But she was standing next to me as that relative, of course. But I knew that it was Jezebel. She's come in so many different forms in my dreams, but she was her in this dream, and she was just standing right there beside me, and it almost looked like I was looking at a picture of me and Jezebel together, and this covenant that we have together. And she was standing next to me as if she had a position of authority over me. Um, Only in the sense that I was subjected to her through a covenant. And obviously, it had to be some soul fragment part of me because I have power over her in Christ. But that, what he was showing me, she looked very comfortable. She looked like she knew that there was some hidden secret in relation to this covenant and why she doesn't ever fully leave. And she looked very comfortable, just very fastened. And she looked like she had been there for a very long time. And I remember feeling this impression with her standing next to me that she's always been right there. She was so close to the point where it was like everywhere I went, she followed. It's an attachment there. Like she doesn't ever really leave. She's just always like, it was a weird thing for the Lord to show you. I think some stuff like God doesn't even show us, because if he were to really show you like what it looks like in the spirit, it would probably scare you. Like just what I was feeling from looking at the image was just like, I mean, the occultic symbols on the concrete stone chair was enough. Like it just reeked of like gothic covenant, like old, weird, satanic, just weird something. And just her being there, like I remember I felt this dread and this discouragement just come over me, like this spirit is never going to get away from me. I'm never going to get delivered. Like I was feeling all of that when I saw it. Like, why is she still here? Like, what is it? And she looked very comfortable. She didn't look like she was going anywhere. Like she wasn't intimidated. It was just fascinating. It was just the word I really feel, just fastened. Like she's really fastened, attached to you, very, next to you. And I also remember feeling that she was responsible for the slaughterhouse that I was seeing too. There was some connection with the slaughterhouse I saw, and then like me sitting in the Enochian throne or something. Like she knew that she was the one subjecting me to that torture or whatever that was, whatever that place was. She knew that she was responsible, and it just felt like she was going to keep this part of me not only subjected to her, but whatever this realm of torment was that she was governor over. And she just looked like she just wasn't going anywhere. I mean, that's the best way I could explain it. And it was definitely a bearing of witness within me of everything I know myself to have been dealing with for like 10 plus years, the past 12, 14 years. So I guess it was just to see it, just to have the Lord just kind of put it in your face like that. It's just like, so after that, he kind of did away with the inner vision thing, and it went back to me, her, and the other girl. And her feeling, Jezebel just feeling extremely comfortable and secure in her place in my life. She just comfortably just got up and went out my room and went to the hallway for something. And so I don't know where the other girl went. She just like disappeared. And at some point in the dream, which is how I know it wasn't just a dream, it was something taking place in the spirit. My core self, I began to kind of realize, like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be talking to her. Like the Lord's exposed her to me in so many dreams. Like, I'm not supposed to be affiliated with her. So in my mind, I was still thinking it's my cousin. It didn't really click yet that it was Jezebel. So while she was out the room, I took the opportunity to close my bedroom door, and I think I locked it. And I could feel when I did that, I think, like, the gig was up type of thing. She felt that I was kind of catching on to what was going on, and that I wasn't really walking under this blindedness in the dream or in the spirit anymore, just me being comfortable with the idea that it was just my cousin. So Jezebel kind of started to pick up on the fact that, okay, she knows that something's off because I closed the door. She immediately came to the door, and she started talking about, I think she told me to open the door so that she could come get her phone off of my bed or get some stuff that she left in my room. And you could just hear the suspicion in her voice. I'm like, this spirit is so petty. And I'm still thinking it's the cousin. So I was like, no. And I'm like, I shouldn't open up the door to her. The Lord told me not to open up the door to her. So I'm thinking it's the cousin, And I'm like, well, no. I said, I'll just open up the window and I'll throw it on the ground and you can get it outside, whatever she left. I don't even think she really left anything. I think the spirit was just looking for any possible, opening to try to get back in. And so it was nice to see that she couldn't just barge in. I mean, it was a situation where I had to open it up and invite her back in. She was there outside the door, but she was kind of trying to play on the whole familiarity of the relative and, oh, I left some stuff in there. Can you, come back or give it to me? And I'm like, well, no, because in order to give it to you, I'd have to open the door. So I was like, I'm just going to throw it outside and you can go get it. And she said some other stuff after that, and she didn't like that. So I think the spirit was just really calculating, like, how to get me to open the door back up. And I think at some point I just told her through the door, I used very strange wording that even surprised me in the dream when I said it. I said, it's over. That's very strange, wording to use with your cousin, and when you're trying to sever yourself from her in obedience to what the Lord showed you. I said, it's over. So it was almost like that soul part of me that was active in the dream was bearing witness to, there's something deeper here with this spirit that's more of a relationship based thing. Jezebel is a spirit spouse, and I've had I have the Lord show me in other dreams in terms of her being a generational spirit in my life, that's kind of the role she plays with me as well. So yeah, I said it's over. And so it felt personal between me and this spirit. And when I said that, that's when she fully caught on to the reality that I knew what was going on in the dream. And she just said, no, it's not. Like that. I couldn't see her face outside the door, but I can hear in her voice. There was like this smirking, mocking almost, like kind of like a valley girl. But, it was just her tone and her voice. Like, no, it's not. You close the door on me and you have me outside the room, but I'm not going anywhere, And what was my reaction when she said that? I don't think I really had a reaction. I guess the rest of this video and the rest of the dream, I just wanted to kind of share with y'all what I felt from her. And I've had countless dreams about Jezebel where she has this type of personality with me dealing with her. This spirit is definitely the source of narcissism. It just felt like even though you closed the door on this person, even though you did everything you could possibly do to get away from them, they never actually leave. They're always there just waiting for you to open the door back up. And I just felt from her that even if God himself cut that cord and just completely severed you from this spirit, she doesn't ever really, in her mind, it's not over. In her mind, the spirit feels entitled to you. She has rights to you. In some dreams, even to the point of her getting angry, and attacking me to reinforce what she feels were her rights to me. But it was just I felt like a sense of delusion with her. It was like, even though you closed the door on her, you just divorced her, she's still standing outside. Like, if you hear people teach about narcissism, they say that narcissists cannot process the word no. And that's exactly what it was like with this spirit. It was like, it's not that she didn't understand spiritual law, and when it comes to us casting out and binding certain spirits and divorcing them, she understood perfectly. I just felt that I don't know what God has turned them over to when he released them, but they have been turned over to some weird type of psychological mindsets, because these spirits, it's like they, especially her, I don't know if every demon is like that, but Jezebel specifically, she has a weird sense of delusion where it's like, it's a level of deception God has turned them over to that I cannot even describe. Like, it was not a no for her. I did feel that she was trying to trick me a little bit to make it seem that, or make me believe that there was still something there. And there very well could have been. But in the sense of her personally as a spirit, I did feel like she was trying to play on my mind. Like, no, it's not. Like, I'm still here. When in reality, well, you're already out the door. So she probably was just doing that so that you could, let her back in at some point. But I did also feel the sense of delusion as well. I didn't feel like she had any intentions on leaving. I feel like you could have been free from this spirit for like 5+ years, not even thinking about it, and she still would have been there, like just waiting for you to open the door back up. And I know that we say that about demons all the time, but I don't think anybody's ever really experienced Jezebel to the degree that I have, like up close and personal. That spirit really is like that. And I guess I just wanted to use that dream to kind of share negative wisdom with y'all, or negative information about narcissism and people dealing with a Jezebel spirit. Because she has so many different functions, I can't even begin to tell you the many different domains of that spirit. She has a lot of different stuff going on. But people specifically dealing with like mental illness and narcissism. Narcissism is broad in and of itself, but when you have an individual dealing with a spirit like that, and I've seen it through people who I know for a fact are being used by this spirit, and of course just her up close and personal in dreams, bipolar, insanity is a spirit of insanity attached to it. The person is always going to have a mental stronghold of delusion. The spirit has their mind so arrested that they can't even fully process. And I think that's why Jezebel is like that in the dream. I think the Lord was just showing me that people who are dealing with her, she's like that. That's why people who are under that kind of spirit, they deal with stuff like that. It's almost like, she was thoroughly convinced of a lie. I really can't explain it. Like, there was no processing of truth or getting anything through to this spirit. So when you're dealing with somebody like that, y'all probably didn't know that it was Jezebel, but that's exactly what it was. You can't get anything through to these people. It's like there's literally a mental block or a barrier to them. Like, you can literally divorce them, tell them to leave you alone, and you can just try to, how they say, gray rock, or, disassociate yourselves from these people, and they don't go anywhere. So there's also it's an obsessive spirit. They develop an obsession with you. It's always a stalking. It's always a monitoring. It's always a sense of just being there. They're glued to you and they're not going anywhere. And just real emphasis on like the mental state of this spirit. When I was dealing with her, she just felt like somebody completely deranged. Like, I have seen Jezebel manifest insanity through the same relative as the same relative in many other dreams where she was just completely crazy and just railing. That was the dream I shared with y'all where she was taking me to a sex trafficking ring and just saying how she was going to let them have me and rape me. And the spirit was just, she looked completely animated too. Like, she looked weird. Like, she was definitely not anything from this dimension, but just her mental state was just like cussing and just going crazy. Like, I had never seen like, anybody act like that before, but she was just kind of out of it, just aloof in the head. But yeah, there's definitely a sense of just delusion, very strong delusion, derangement of the mind, just psychologically. And that is a form of mental illness. She does manifest through bipolar and schizophrenia. There's Jezebel too. Spirits of insanity, they're kind of linked together. But the best way, if I had to describe, I think I kind of already did. Y'all know the videos I did like maybe a couple months ago, narcissistic believers or something like that, and I was putting video clips in the description box, like a girl from The Craft. I used her as an example of what I've seen this spirit, the kind of behavior I've seen this spirit manifest in dreams. And I would also kind of compare her to the girl from Orphan, the main character in the movie Orphan, but she was more like a sociopath. But they all run together. They're all very similar. Okay, narcissism, sociopaths, psychopaths, they just kind of manifest. I think they have different spirits networking with one main spirit, which is why they kind of manifest different attributes, but they're kind of all one of the same tree, to be honest with you. Um, Very obsessive behavior, and obviously, I guess I'm just kind of giving y'all ways that you could probably detect somebody who's dealing with a spirit like that, because they'll have that kind of personality. They'll have that kind of behavior with you. They don't ever want to leave you alone. They're always constantly watching you. They're always just constantly there. It's almost like a monitoring spirit. And people who deal with this spirit, just in a religious sense, I've noticed that when you try to minister to people like this, or try to get the gospel or some aspect of truth of the Lord's word or some type of revelation with them, it's like they can't. I don't even want to say it comes up against a wall. It just literally feels like they can't. There's some type of screening on their minds where this spirit literally has their mind so arrested and upside down to where they literally will attack the truth being presented to them. Like they can't receive it, they can't process it. There's some system that this spirit has set up in this person's mind that literally is set up to reject truth, and she is controlling them in a way to where they can only process or function according to what she has set up in their minds. Like that's it. It's basically just like Jezebel's little system in somebody's psyche. And any truth that is presented to them, I think that spirit, depending on how much of a hold she has on somebody who's dealing with a stronghold like that, she can probably block it out. And that's why you'll find that a lot of people dealing with the Jezebel spirit in a religious sense, because she's also a religious spirit, they're completely delusional and just deceived. It's a deception that's completely undescribable. Like, and it's kind of weird because I think in some cases, like, the person can have the Holy Spirit, but it's always going to be a sense of like splitting, or depending on how yielded they are to her, I guess, until the Lord gives them revelation and breaks them out of that. He may have their spirit, but it's like she has their psychological mindset. And it's definitely just delusional, obsessive, stalking, mental. I was gonna say mental something. I just lost my words. Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. They're not sound mind at all. What that spirit does to people is completely insane. I mean, that if you let her, especially if you don't know that that's a spirit that you're dealing with, she will literally turn your mind completely upside down and inside out. The person will definitely always be tormented. Um, Anybody dealing with Jezebel is tormented. That's a for sure sign. Like, if you don't know if you're dealing with a spirit like that, mental illness, I would say, would be the first sign. But there's so many different kinds of mental illness. But you will always feel tormented and just shredded in the mind, because she is the one basically just sitting. She's sitting on your mind. It's like she's kind of like taking some type of throne in your psyche, and there's a system up there that's being run and ran and governed by her. And they're actually mental strongholds that the word talks about that need to be cast down. in order for somebody to truly be delivered from that spirit, because you literally become like a sociopath as a Christian. That's some heavy bondage. You will be a narcissistic, sociopathic Christian. It's a deeply embedded stronghold that that person has to get delivered from. I don't know what the beginning of something like that would be. I would think, I don't know. Y'all share some stories. Like, y'all definitely, I would love y'all's commentary on this. Just the topic alone, not necessarily the dream. I was just sharing the dream with y'all. But if y'all have had similar dreams or just similar revelations from God, or you know somebody like that, when I see her in dreams, or when I encounter people who I know for a fact are under that spirit, don't even waste your time trying to tell them that, because that's how bound they are. They're not going to receive that. But it's always like, I'm like, what would have to happen for somebody to be completely like turned over to like a strong delusion like that? And it also makes me think that maybe scripture, how it says, that the Father will turn those who rejected the truth or received not the truth of the gospel over to strong delusion. I think that may have a lot of different interpretations than just talking about the end of the world and mark of the beast. I think that maybe a lot of demonic strongholds really begin with people rejecting truth. So I think maybe the beginning of somebody's deliverance who's dealing with something like a narcissism or sociopathy or psychopathy, maybe the some aspects of the Lord's words. It could be a revelation of truth. It could be anything that's a light. I think that would probably be the key to beginning to tear down like that huge fortress that that person is dealing with. But they would have to be receptive to that. And I don't deal with that. So I can't really say like, unless the Lord gives me that revelation. Maybe if he gave it to y'all can definitely, comment below the beginning of somebody's deliverance who's dealing with something like that. I don't know if you'd have to bind Jezebel first and try to cast her out first, and then go ahead and start disassembling uh, the many different compartments this person is dealing with psychologically. But as long as she's there, there's not going to be any real deliverance. Tearing down the strongholds wise, there's not going to be any deliverance because she's too psychotic. This is definitely psychopathy. It's definitely a psychopathic, psychotic individual, like a mad woman. That's not normal behavior. I mean, y'all already know that. You probably already experienced that to some degree so far, but that's not normal behavior at all. And that person is definitely dealing with some type of mental illness. As far as spiritually, they may not know that it's her, that it's Jezebel, that they're dealing with something like that. Because I mean, if you're deceived, you don't know you're deceived. You're only limited to know and understand what she's allowing you to know and understand, because you're in that prism that she's governing. So I think she probably have to be bonded and arrested by somebody who really knows about that spirit deliverance wise, and she'd have to be kind of, at least temporarily, so you can start getting to the core of the individual and start dealing with their soul, because that person's dealing with so many familiar spirits they don't even know about. And it's a creepy thing to think about. The spirit is weird. Like, I mean, I don't even have to talk about an actual person. Now, the cousin, she's not like that in real life. It's just Jezebel. Like, I've seen her in so many times in dreams, and she's like that. So I said, I know for a fact, just having engagements with this spirit up close and personal, she is the true source behind people dealing with stuff like that, because she is like that. Obsessive. She never leaves. This spirit will literally, I've had dreams where the spirit looked so tormented and chopped up due to some warfare I had initiated against her, and she still was pursuing me. It's like even the pain and the judgment that she was under due to prayers I had prayed maybe months prior, whenever I would open a door again, she was still right there. Like nothing stopped her. It wasn't necessarily just a persistence of her determination, to have me. It was just, that was like her mental state. Like, she's that obsessive with you. She's not going to go. It's creepy. It really is annoying. I'm not joking. Like, there's something is wrong with that spirit. I'm like, are they all like that, or is it just her? Like, what did she specifically do to deserve this kind of judgment? I'm like, the Lord just turned this particular spirit over to madness. Like, she's a spirit of madness, insanity, mental illness. That's all Jezebel. The spirit is just crazy, and a railing lunatic. I've seen so many different kind of manifestations of her personality and characteristics in dreams. Like, there's so many different kinds of Jezebel. Like, she can manifest in so many different ways with people who are dealing with that spirit. And something is not right in the water. Okay, it is not right in the water. I was gonna share another dream with y'all. It basically was just her as a siren. Actually, she was a siren, or like an anaconda, python, mermaid spirit, and she was like a grown adult woman, and she was slithering and just chasing me and pursuing me behind, and one of my relatives' backyard, and I was asking them to help me, help get her away from me, because she just kept following me everywhere. Once again, she just followed me everywhere. She wasn't even like trying to harm me. She just following me. And at some point, one of the relatives put her on the barbecue pit. I'm actually about to write that one down. I don't know what that meant or why he did that. I do think that it was some type of representation of like the Lord finally kind of trying to get rid of her, because they put her on the barbecue pit. And even when she was on the pit and the lid was closing, I looked at her, I guess just to get a final glance, which I felt in the dream I was not supposed to do. It was one of those things that you'll see in a movie, like don't look in Medusa's eyes. It was that kind of thing with her. I looked anyway, and she just turned her head very slowly at me, like, and her look was just like, I'll be back. I'm just like, but you're burning on a pit and you're still, the spirit is crazy. Like, I'm telling y'all, this spirit is psychotic. Like, there was just no stopping with her. So anyway, that pretty much concludes my video. I just wanted to pull from the two dreams I have had and just kind of give y'all some other characteristic or traits to people that deal with a spirit like that does manifest as narcissism, psychopathy, and sociopathy and stuff like that. So